Good morning and welcome to Small Business Chat. Hello, how you doing? Hi, Karen.
Good morning.
Morning. Here with our cuppers and a chat, talk about small business issues. And today we're talking about working for the life that you want. This is a bit more of an inspirational sort of chat. I think the funniest thing that I have found is that, well, not funny, but it's just we all share this story of when you're working for a business, no matter what size, could really feel like you're constantly spinning plates. Don't you agree? Like you're just
Yes,
it's one
absolutely.
thing to another. And especially if you're a smaller business, you might not be able to delegate as much. So I hear it all the time. It's that constant eat, work, sleep, repeat. Like it's just never ending. So that's why we have to look after ourselves, make sure we factor in breaks. We don't, we can't pour from an empty cup. Um, but one of the things that we wanted to highlight is that, we're often told to set our goals in business. And I've got to be honest, I don't know about you, Karen, but I only did this when I started working with a business coach because sometimes we embark on a business because we feel like, oh, this is a really good idea. I want to see how this goes. And you're so taken away with the business idea that we haven't done that business setup because it has been business first, and then it probably is after maybe a little while in that you might think, right, what are the structures and foundations that we need. And when you work within that structure, you're often asked, like, what's your ideal life? What does that look like? What are you trying to create? So it's beyond the business, not just about figures and targets. We are not fake it till you make it kind of people. Um, and for many of us, it's not about having lots of cash all over the bed and taking an Insta shot of it, or, that might be fine for some of you. That might be what the goal is. But for some of us, it might be creating a better family balanced life. It might be being able to take like a month off it in the year, or to go travel, or if you're someone like our very own Karen, embracing her loving lifestyle to go move on to a houseboat, which she has done, and congratulations to you, which we have mentioned before. So again, we just wanted to inspire you today and really just break it down and sort of give you a bit more inspiration about somebody like our Karen that's taken those goals of like, right, what is it that we want to achieve, and what does that look like? So I suppose my first question for you as well is, when did you realize the importance of setting up goals or that vision? Because it took me a while. Like, I didn't do it for years. Was that something you always had in mind when you started?
No, I kind of fell into it because I kind of fell out of a job, wasn't working for a while, and then just, I think the first job was sort of helping someone set up a website. And then, and I'd done one before, so it was kind of a learning curve. So I thought, oh, this could work. With my skills, I'd done a bit of website stuff, I'd done a bit of design and whatnot. So I thought, okay, well, I'll give this a go and, create some logos and whatnot. And then, just rolled rolled into it, really. Not really sort of like, oh, this is my choice in life. And then obviously went through a whole stage process. Then I joined up with another guy. I had to set up a business together, and ran a creative agency for a number of years. And then only then sort of realized, oh, okay, well, now then it started to go like, well, actually, I started to see which people I wanted to focus on and which not, which type of businesses I wanted to work with, what kind of stuff I wanted to do,
Yeah.
because I'd been doing a whole gamut of stuff, website stuff, design, digital marketing, social media, all sorts. And I thought, well, look, if I go on my own, I'm not going to be able to do all of that.
Yeah.
It's just too much. So I kind of then looked at it and went, okay, well, I'm going to narrow it down to what do I really want to focus on? What do I want to get rid of? And even then, that took a little while because I was kind of offering web and marketing at the beginning, and then in a bit of design, and it's kind of just peeling that away, bit by bit, and it's having the confidence as well, I think, to sort of niche down not only on who you choose to work with, but what you actually choose to offer as a service. And now I've built up kind of associates around myself, like yourself, and many others who are specialists in different areas, and rather, bring them in on projects or outsource to them, or collaborate with them, put clients in touch with them. It's a very transparent process. I don't want to be project managing anything as well, because that can be quite a big task. So yeah, so that's so it's just evolved over the years. And like you say, I think if I'd spoken to a business coach right at the start, I would have had that all in place. I mean, I tried to do a business plan, and I looked at the huge number of pages, and I just went, oh my goodness, and just kind of left it and carried on. So yes, I'm not a good example of when I started out of what you should do.
But I think that's the reality, isn't it? I actually wonder if it's, and I'd love to hear, like, if that's the case for you, just drop in the comments. But I think that's the reality. A lot of us, like I started, it was like, there's got to be an easier way to do this, that this is not helping anyone. I'm trying to find a solution. For other people, it's like, I need to get away from my job. I hate like micromanagement. I'm not using my creativity. So then you put yourself in that position of, right, this is what I want to start. It's like a blank canvas. And I think that, our vision and goal might be, like, it's taken a while, that, you want that business, you want that, maybe that autonomy, that creativity, that your own rules. But there comes a point where it's like, I think for you as well, it's like, it's got to be easier. It's got to be easier than that. So when you're restructuring the business, it's like, right, who do I want to work with? Because I'm having trouble working with clients that perhaps might not get it. This is the hard stuff, and it's a learning process. So if you don't get it straight away, if you haven't done it away, sometimes you've got to learn the hard way. I have to learn the hard way of what I want, what I don't want, because I have good intentions, but the reality is a lot more disappointing than you might think. It's like, we can all try and sit and go, I want to really help everybody, but it's like, not everybody wants to be helped, or not everyone's going to take your help, or not everyone's going to, do what you need them to do in order to make it better. But the whole point is, it comes to a point going, we've got to find a way to do it easier, like smarter, that can free up more time, because I'm running myself into the ground. And then I think the question comes up, but then what would I do with that free time? Oh, how wonderful. What sort of life do I want to lead? So sometimes I don't think you're a bad example at all. I honestly think that this could be the reality. And I think that's why I don't feel bad.
I think it is a bit of the reality. And also I think, by stripping a lot of that away, it has become more streamlined, because I have been working towards that. How can I streamline for, I have had burnout before. I used to, in the beginning, work till 11 o'clock at night. I just couldn't sustain it, and I didn't want to. My goal has never been to sort of make a certain figure a month. I mean, yes, obviously I know exactly what my costs are and what I've got to make each month and cover. But it's not about making a huge profit. For me, it's about reducing the number of days that I work. That's always been my goal.
You go. Yeah, exactly.
In a 5-day week, a 4-day week, maybe even a 3-day week. That would be great. But that's, I mean, I don't know how realistic that is, but definitely to a 4-day week, where you can then free up more time to do something else. And what I'm finding now is, by being more organized and taking the pressure off myself a bit, and managing clients' expectations, that I can take an afternoon off here and there. I'm not sitting at the desk from 9 till 5 every day. If I fancy, well, I want to take the afternoon off, I can. So I think it's looking at all sorts of things. I think for me, it's about building a business around the life you want. Build a business around your lifestyle, not the other way around.
I love that. And I think that's the important thing, because this is my key takeaway. I've tried to, when I haven't focused on something broader than the business, like the life that you want, you will get burnout faster. Because if you're just focused on the business, where's the fun? Where's the joy? Like, we're workaholics. Like, we love what we do. And yet, if I was only focused on the business, wow, there's so much more in life. And anyone could say, well, no, I love what I'm doing, and I'm so helpful to, really want to make a change and an impact. That's just, I disagree. I think that you need something broader than that. You really do. So for the workaholics out there, please, words to note, if you don't do it, that's where the burnout happens. You've got to find other ways to give you that joy, that pleasure in your life. I'd love to know a little bit more about when you thought about this, is because when you really became much more into this eco-conscious way of living and you really wanted to work with those, like how did you set that goal for where you are today, and beyond? Because I mean, this is just a milestone. I'm sure there's like lots more that you want to do. She hasn't finished, folks. But you know, when you sat there and you went, right, okay, this is what we want to achieve, this type of lifestyle for my business to work around that. How did you set that up, like in your business? Like, what were the key steps perhaps behind the scenes that you were like, if I want to make this a reality, I need to do this, this and this?
Yeah, well, some of the things is obviously being able to work remotely. So obviously I've got a job where I can do that from anywhere in the world as long as there's an internet signal.
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of signal. But then I discovered, oh, well, you know, you can get these 4G booster routers and aerials and everything like that. So I thought, well, actually that makes it even more possible, you know, to work anywhere in the world. So that was sort of part of it. Okay, what I need. I did have like a desktop, and what I've realized obviously is on the boat, you know, power is an issue. It's not just plug in and play and you've got 240 volts and it's like, woohoo, I can go. You know, you've got to set up a lot of things, and you know, we haven't got enough power to drive that. So I've had to get a laptop. So in hindsight, yeah, I could have been working towards getting a laptop, but I've got one now, it's fine. I think, you know, one of the other things is I was had a lot of sort of programs that I was signing up to, again, that all, you know, might require, you know, external things. So I've tried to just move everything to online, just really simplify stuff as well. So using online tools that other people might use, you know, just to make life a little bit easier, and just keep everything in one place so that I can, at any time, I can go into, you know, an online cloud, get all my files. So that's something as well. I've bought cloud storage that syncs to my computer, but it doesn't download it all in the computer. But it means I can access it from my phone. I can access it from my laptop. I can access it from another computer. You know, things like password security, again, you know, having that across all devices. So, you know, I could be, you know, somewhere far away, sitting by a lake or whatever on holiday, and if someone has a quick issue, I can still log in on my phone and hopefully sort it out.
So the
Yeah,
operations and the systems was a big part of that.
definitely. And yeah, I mean, we'd been sort of planning on moving, sort of, you know, changing lifestyle, moving away from renting a house. We didn't want to get a mortgage. It's almost impossible to get a mortgage anyway when you're self-employed. You know, so we thought, you know, what is it that we could do? And that's when the idea of the boat came up. And then kind of in between that, we got hold of a van and we started converting a van. And then we thought, there's no way the two of us can live in a van. So it kind of went back to the boat idea again. And yeah, it's a big step, because you've got to obviously declutter everything physically, but you know, it also made me declutter everything digitally. So it was sort of working towards that: declutter your physical lifestyle, declutter your online lifestyle. Yeah. Did I answer the question? I know you were talking about also
operations has been a big part of it. So, you know, what about then like clients and making, like, again, this is the joy of it. You can work remotely. We're not, you know, people don't expecting you to, you know, have an office nowadays. You know, we've kind of like moved past that. But so this is a way of flexible working, because this does fit into those that might want that flexibility in work, or to be able to go off and travel. So you very much fit into that kind of lifestyle, sort of like digital nomad, really. So I think as well, in terms of clients, did you have to look at, right, I need to make sure that, you mentioned it before, but you had to factor in your costs. So you had to then make sure it's like, well, if this is the lifestyle, I need to be earning X amount, or did that factor into it? Did you really have to budget for that? Because again, you know, it's I'm sure there's a lot of outgoings. Or
oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm not paying any less now than I was renting, because we sort of part bought the boat, we part paying it off. You've got, you know, you've got lots of things. You've got mooring costs. You've got river tax, you've got license, you've got insurance. So, all those things add up to what you were paying, council tax or whatever. I mean, obviously, the one thing that we're trying to move away from is sort of the energy costs. So yeah, definitely, I've had to make sure we budget. How many people can I get? Kind of, how many websites do I need to do a month or every couple of months? How many clients do I have kind of on a retainer basis that brings in to pay for certain things? So yeah, so definitely you had to budget and sort of choosing the clients that I wanted to work with as well. I mean, that was I always wanted to work with ethical, independent, sustainable businesses. Initially, I started going for local. That was quite tough because there was hundreds of other web designers I discovered in Norfolk, where I'm based, who were also doing the same thing. So it was like, well, that's not quite the way I want to go. I want to work with those people, but I want to work with the eco, you know, social conscious businesses as well, well, preferably. So I went through that branding process. It's like anyone, it's hard to niche, isn't it? And just really nail down. And I had spoken about it sort of when I first set up, but didn't go down, wasn't sort of brave enough to go right down that route at that time. And also things changed. I mean, I went and did a permaculture course and things, and that sort of changed a lot of things for me too, and the way I looked at business. And then went through the branding process and really niched down. And then then just made life so much simpler. It meant, by focusing on specific things, by redoing my website, redoing my branding and everything, changing my messaging, it acted like a filter system to sort of only bring in the people that I wanted to work with. I started joining network membership groups with specifically my target audience, and that is now bringing in a lot of business from those two areas without a lot of effort. Word of mouth and recommendation referral, but it's through being really focused on those kind of groups and where you network as well has really helped.
Do you know, I think this is a great these are great insights, because again, for you guys out there that might be listening, how do I apply this to my business? There could be, again, if you're thinking about the costs that you want, or you might think, well, I'm the only one that works, like, if Karen doesn't work on the website, it doesn't get done. But there could be certain elements that could you outsource certain bits, or could you create some sort of self-service model, like to get them up to a certain stage that they'd still have to pay for? Could you create digital products? Like, what are these things that you could put in your business that, say, for example, if I were to want to take August off, it's like, what sort of income boosters could I factor in so that, again, I'm happy. I love telling my clients that to make it easier for me to take time off, I take 2 weeks off, and I tell my clients, right, my first week, I'm just going to, like, no, I'm around, but like emergency only. But then it would be a case of, but I'm going to do admin, and then the next week I'm off completely. I just want to shut down completely. Unless something has horrifically happened, then contact me. You have my mobile. But it's to be able to have that balance and that freedom. So how do you set yourself up for that? And also, what boundaries are you putting in place? What can you block off? What can you think, right, if I wanted to take that month off, if I wanted to, spend time with family, do I need people to support me? Do I need to create some sort of program or like other digital products that could be selling meanwhile in August, so that it's not necessarily me in the business? Like, all these factors that when you speak to a great business, I'm sure they'll come up with that for you as well. But it's really interesting how people are making it a reality. Because diversifying sort of like those strands of business could be a key factor to it. We're not business coaches. Like, honestly, it's just a story here it's really good to see that, this is something that has come to a reality here. And I'd love to, go find one. Honestly, I have learned so much from the people that I've worked with. And when I listen to people, it's like, oh, thank God. It's like how to make this a reality. So you break down those steps a little bit more. And like, not everyone here is like after that 5-6 figure business. It might be what the goal is. How do we break it down that way? That's what they're there for. So that's kind of like amazing. But I just wanted to end and just finish up, because this is great to see this shift. What does success look like, celebrating those successes. Karen, you were sharing, and I'd love you to share, like, what's it like living on a boat? Like, this is your idyllic dream. What is it that you love about it? Like, what does your day look like? What's around you? What sort of, tell us a little bit about it, because I want people to go, wow, like when you told me, I was like, oh my God, please share. Like, what does it look like?
Yeah, I think first of all, people were like, "Oh, when are you moving on to? I mean, can I get my website done before you go?" I think they thought that's it. I was going off grid and that, not going to be able to work.
Yeah.
So one of the first things I did was obviously made sure that I had internet. And again, you can, and people have, I've sort of put a bit of information about in my newsletter. I'm going to share a bit more, but it's buying a router like you would for a house.
Yeah.
You can get an external aerial. Luckily, we've actually, most people say a boat is just literally a steel. It's a narrow boat, so it's literally steel, and you won't get a signal inside. But we've actually where we are, we have got a really good 4G signal, and at the moment, this is being powered off mobile hotspot on my phone. So that's really good. But obviously, having an internet booster, the routing booster, you can notice the speed difference. So there's those sort of options we have to think about. And then obviously arriving on here, with just, so wake up in the morning and you look outside and it's just absolutely stunning. Looking out over the river, you look up that way towards the sunset, down that way is where the sun rises. There's ducks that come past. There's a family of swans with their babies. I don't know if it's cygnets. I'm just going to say there's 6 babies, which are growing rapidly every day, come past. The wildlife here is stunning. There's supposed to be an otter. I haven't seen it yet. My partner has. Water voles, kingfishers. Yeah. At night, there's bats that fly over and eat all the insects. So, yeah, really beautiful. And just sort of waking up. I spend most of my time outside now. When I'm not on here, I'm outside.
Amazing.
No matter the weather. Now, when you're in a house, you're less likely to do that. Yeah. But everyone says when you move onto a boat, you spend 80% of your time outside. So you're right there. You're in nature. There's, the wind's blowing through the trees. I mean, I had, dragonflies and lambsflies literally flying past me and landing right in front of me. And, it's just, you are right in the middle of nature. And obviously we know that that's a really good thing for health and well-being, being able to do that. So it's, it's not for everyone, but for me, I'm just kind of, engulfed in it and surrounded by it. And it's just really, energy giving. And even with, I was telling you, having sort of power issues and stuff, and you had to, buy more solar panels and buy more batteries and try and get things connected up, and plugging in one thing at a time and take that out to plug another again. And it's just been crazy. But I've managed to do the shows. I managed to do a masterclass yesterday with no hitches. But, despite all that, the challenges, you just walk outside and you look and you just go, I'm in paradise. So none of it matters.
That's what it's all about. Yeah. And do you feel like an instant decompress? I mean, it must be. We're so stressed with like what's going on with work, but to spend 80% of your time outside, it's the 80-20 rule of working. That's amazing.
Yeah. And you don't, you kind of feel like it feels quite surreal still. I mean, I've been here a couple of weeks and it still feels quite surreal. And, with things like, being obviously you've got to always.
Oh. Well, there we go. We're talking about sort of like glitches, but it sounds ideal in the sense of living that life. I think it's really important to hear that end of it. I think it's really important to hear sort of like what you're embracing, what you're particularly loving about when you've reached that point of this is why I'm working. Hello again.
The mobile phone's doing so well. It flipping cut out, didn't it?
That's all right.
Well, I was just plug the router in, but we're not going to be on for much longer. So
that's all right. I was just saying this wraps up really well. Like, it just gives you that whole idea of like, this is why we do what we do. It's like, yes, you can have your vision and your goals for your business, but ultimately you've got to put something back in you, and that ideal sort of like way of living is definitely sort of like your gift to yourself. So I hope that's been a bit more of an inspirational story, and inspired you to look at your goals and what your ideal life would look like. I know I've rolled my eyes when somebody's asked me to think about that, but you know, when you do think about it and it starts to come true and you're making progress together, it just feels like you're making progress, and I think that's really important. So I'd love to hear more about your sort of like views. If you've got anything that you want to share, please do so below, and we will speak to you next week. All right then, take care. Bye.